The Volkswagen Phaeton was a 5.06-meter luxury sedan with a 6-liter W12 420 horsepower, air suspension, double-glazed windows, and a development bill reported at more than €1 billion. One version carried a twin-turbo V10 diesel, producing 750 newton-meters of torque. It was assembled inside a glass factory with wooden floors. Yet, after nearly 15 years, Volkswagen had built only 84,235 examples. The hidden problem was not that Volkswagen could not engineer a world-class luxury car. It was that even Volkswagen could not engineer prestige. On the surface, the Phaeton looked like an overconfident product planning mistake. A company associated with Golfs, Beetles, and practical family cars decided to challenge the Mercedes-Benz S-Class, BMW 7 Series, Lexus LS, and Audi A8. The finished car was large, quiet, expensive, and deliberately restrained. It offered the equipment and composure expected from a flagship, but wore a badge most buyers associated with something far more ordinary. But Volkswagen did not fail at building the car. It failed at changing what the car meant. That distinction begins with Ferdinand Piëch, the grandson of Ferdinand Porsche. Piëch was not merely a corporate chairman who approved budgets. He was an engineer shaped by racing programs, technical risk, and a belief that demanding targets could force an organization to become better. He had helped drive the Porsche 917 program, pushed Audi toward technologies such as Quattro all-wheel drive, and later backed projects ranging from Bentley's Revival to the Bugatti Veyron. His methods were famously severe. He could be brilliant, strategic, and deeply intimidating at the same time. By the late 1990s, his ambition for Volkswagen was no longer limited to making excellent mainstream cars. He wanted the company to prove it belonged at the very top. Piëch supplied the ambition, but Hartmut Warkus helped give it a shape. Warkus had begun as a teenage apprentice engraver before studying metal design and entering the car industry through Mercedes-Benz. He moved through Ford and Audi, worked on cars including the Audi Quattro and first A8, then became Volkswagen's design chief. His career had already been about helping restrained German engineering gain authority and status. For the Phaeton, he chose the opposite of theatrical luxury. The body was clean, formal, and almost anonymous. It did not shout that Volkswagen had built something expensive. It expected you to notice the quality yourself, and there was quality to notice. The production car emerged from the Concept D shown in 1999 and made its world debut in March 2002. Its body was engineered for exceptional rigidity, with aluminium used for the bonnet, doors, and boot lid. Adaptive air suspension allowed the heavy sedan to settle into a smooth, controlled glide. Four-zone climate control could manage separate areas of the cabin while concealing the main vents behind powered wooden panels. Thick glass reduced noise. Available seats could heat, ventilate, adjust in 18 directions, and provide a massage. Major versions used permanent all-wheel drive. The early 6-liter W12 produced about 420 horsepower, while the 5-liter V10 TDI delivered 313 PS and the kind of 750 Newton-meter shove normally associated with heavy machinery. These were not decorations added to justify a price. They were systems designed to make speed feel quiet and distance feel shorter. Picture it in 2002. The luxury sedan market is one of the most important technological battlegrounds in the car industry. The S-Class represents establishment authority. The 7 Series is preparing to redefine how drivers interact with a cabin. The Lexus LS has built its reputation on refinement and reliability. Audi already has the A8 and its aluminium construction. Then Volkswagen arrives with a car longer than 5 meters, filled with more than 100 patents, asking buyers to accept a strange proposition. Forget the hierarchy you already understand and judge this machine only by what it can do. Here's the thing. Luxury buyers almost never judge the machine alone. The first problem was economic. Volkswagen reportedly spent more than €1 billion developing the program and originally aimed for roughly 20,000 sales every year. It never reached that target. In 2015, analyst Max Warburton described the Phaeton as one of the three most loss-making European cars of modern times. The second problem was price against identity. In the United States, the 2004 V8 started at about $64,600, while the W12 started at $94,600. Auto analyst Carl Brauer captured the dilemma plainly. Buyers saw something really expensive with a VW badge. North American sales ended after the 2006 model year. Now, here's where another dark chapter comes in. Volkswagen was asking the Phaeton to fight the Audi A8, while both lived inside the same group, and the Phaeton's D1 engineering foundations were also shared with the first Bentley Continental GT and Flying Spur. That did not make them identical cars. Bentley added its own design, tuning, power, craftsmanship, and identity, but it showed that Volkswagen had funded engineering capable of supporting a far more prestigious badge. The machinery fulfilled that promise. The market did not. But here's where it gets complicated. Calling every Phaeton buyer irrational would be as lazy as calling the entire project useless. Some customers genuinely wanted discreet luxury. In markets where large sedans were often chauffeur-driven, especially Germany and China, the understated appearance could be an advantage. The car also gave Volkswagen engineers, suppliers, and production teams experience with high-end materials, complex electronics, powerful drivetrains, and extreme refinement. Volkswagen later described the Phaeton as a halo model that benefited the wider brand. That is a corporate interpretation, but it is not an absurd one. Before we continue, subscribe if you enjoy stories about ambitious machines that make more sense once you look beyond the sales numbers. Now, back to it, because whatever you think of the business case, the people who built the Phaeton took the assignment seriously. At the purpose-built, transparent factory in Dresden, painted bodies moved through light-filled glass halls across floors finished in Canadian maple and dark oak. Employees wore white clothing, often with gloves, while much of the final assembly was completed by hand. This was partly theater, of course. Customers and visitors were meant to see luxury being created, but theater only works when the details survive close inspection. Tight panel gaps, carefully matched wood, heavy controls, hidden ventilation outlets, thick glazing, and that unusually solid body all reflected thousands of small decisions made by designers, engineers, and assembly workers who were asked to build a flagship without taking the familiar shortcuts of a mainstream car. The decline came slowly. The Phaeton did not vanish after one disastrous launch year. Volkswagen revised it repeatedly and kept selling it in selected markets long after North America gave up. Yet the original commercial problem never disappeared. The car became older while its rivals were replaced, technology moved on, and demand remained too limited for its ambition. On 18th March 2016, production ended in Dresden after 84,235 cars, including pre-production examples. The irony was almost perfect. Volkswagen had created a factory that made car building look like a luxury performance, but the star of that performance could no longer justify another act. A second act had actually come close. Volkswagen developed a successor known internally as the Phaeton D2. 4 design proposals were considered, and a drivable, near-production prototype was built on the group's newer modular longitudinal architecture. It had modern proportions, a high-quality cabin, and technology that later appeared in other Volkswagen products. But the company redirected its investment toward electric mobility, and the D2 was cancelled. That decision also reveals the Phaeton's partial redemption. The replacement died, yet some of its ideas survived elsewhere. In 2022, Volkswagen publicly showed the prototype, turning a cancelled successor into evidence that the original ambition had never completely disappeared. Meanwhile, the first Phaeton was developing an unusual afterlife of its own. It is not a proven investment, and nobody should buy one on the assumption that prices must rise. It is better understood as a cult modern classic. W12 cars, the rare V10 TDI, long wheelbase versions, 4-seat configurations, low mileage examples, and cars with complete histories tend tend to attract the most enthusiast attention. But depreciation does not simplify the engineering. A cheap Phaeton is still a former six-figure luxury machine when suspension, climate systems, electronics, or tightly packaged engines require work. The purchase price may resemble an ordinary used Volkswagen. The maintenance bill may remember what the car originally was. So where are they now? Production cars remain scattered across Europe, Asia, and a much smaller North American population. The six-cylinder diesels became the practical long-distance survivors. The W12 and V10 TDI became the conversation pieces. The transparent factory moved on to later Volkswagen projects, while the sole D2 prototype became a preserved glimpse of the future the Phaeton never received. And the original car, once dismissed mainly for its depreciation, is increasingly discussed for the very excess that made it commercially difficult. So what do we make of all this? Ferdinand Piëch was not simply a reckless executive, and the Phaeton was not secretly a perfect car sabotaged by ignorant buyers. The program consumed enormous resources, confused Volkswagen's position, competed with an established sister brand, and failed to achieve its sales ambition. Those are real failures, yet the car itself was sophisticated, beautifully made, and unusually uncompromising. Its shared engineering helped support more prestigious products. Its factory became part of its legend, and its existence proved that Volkswagen's technical ceiling was far higher than many customers imagined. The same contradiction still shapes what you buy today. Two vehicles can share engineering, electronics, or even a factory, yet command radically different prices because one carries more history, status, and social meaning. Specifications can explain what a product does. They cannot fully explain what owning it says about you. The Phaeton discovered that gap at enormous cost. Volkswagen built the luxury car it wanted. It just could not build the customer who wanted a Volkswagen luxury car. Was the Phaeton a corporate failure, an engineering success, or somehow both? Tell me what you think in the comments, and subscribe for more stories about the machines that succeeded in ways their sales figures could never measure.